This series is going to be about emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. EFT is a combination of Eastern philosophy and modern psychology.
So as I was waking up this morning, I was thinking about doing this video and feeling a little bit anxious without a doubt, but wondering how best I could introduce it. And there's that phrase that we have the world at our fingertips, which I think mostly refers to technology, the fast speed of technology. Everything is at our fingertips. Also, EFT is at our fingertips. And that's a great comparison for me. And it does the opposite in our lives. It calms us rather than speeds us up and makes us stress. So that's why I think it's a good comparison. It was developed back in the 80s by a gentleman called Roger Callahan, who is American, and he worked as a psychotherapist. He also had a great interest in Eastern philosophy, especially the way that energy flows around our bodies. And he realized that this energy can get blocked. And this energy runs along the meridians. And I think in the East it's called chi or ki or prana, you might know it as. And he realized that the work that he was doing with his clients could be enhanced by using this system. And he happened to be working with a lady called Mary, who had a massive phobia of water, of all things water. So it really caused a lot of disruption in her life. And she did bathe, not in very much water though, and she regularly came for sessions. And then one day he thought he'd just introduce another aspect with what he'd learnt from the East. And he asked her if she felt it anywhere in her body, this massive fear, the nightmares she was having, the trauma around sitting around swimming pools. And she said, I get a tightness in my stomach. And he thought, I know where there's a point for the stomach. So while she was speaking, talking about her fears, he started tapping on that point. And she sighed, and I think she cried a bit. And then she said, oh my gosh, it's gone. And she got up and walked out onto his patio where, of course, California, he had a swimming pool. And he said, Mary, you can't swim. She said, I know I can't swim, but I just want to play in the water. And she said that her fear was gone. And Roger Callahan continued working with clients in this way and getting great results. And soon he was offering seminars. And then a gentleman called Gary Craig came along to one of his seminars, who is an engineer, and Roger Callahan was offering something called thought field therapy, TFT. So Gary Craig learnt the course, and he thought he'd like to simplify it to make it more available. He created what we know today as EFT, emotional freedom technique, and it uses general points around the body, whereas with the thought field therapy, TFT, there's different combinations for different emotions. But Gary Craig thought that he could simplify it to make it easy for people to use. It frees us from the emotions that can hold us back from really shining. And using it in my personal life is of great benefit. I have 2 small nephews, and at bedtime they say, I can't get to sleep, Auntie Tricia. And I say, well, tell me why. Oh, tomorrow. And it's something quite exciting they're doing tomorrow. So they're so excited that they can't settle down. And then we kind of tap together. They kind of eventually go to sleep. Yeah, so even little ones can do it. Obviously, I started with something like this series, learning the points and using them every day. I committed to using it at least 10 minutes a day on various things. And there's a couple of procedures that I will teach in the series that people can take away and use in that way. And for me, I then went on to do something called IET, Integrated Energy Therapy, which includes EFT, but it also encompasses hypnotherapy and neuralistic programming. So it's a whole package that I use, really. And Gary Craig is responsible for the explosion, if you like, recent explosion of EFT. And my teachers trained with him, which is great, from the source. So that's EFT as we know it. There's been a lot of research done on EFT in various groups around the world, and it's been proven that by tapping on the end points of meridians, which I'll be showing you later, that by tapping on those points, it has a connection with the brain, the amygdala, which is an ancient part of the brain that produces, when we feel we're under stress, it produces cortisol, which goes to our limbs and we can fight or we can flight. I'm sure you've heard that before. But unfortunately, with our sedentary lifestyle that most of us have these days, is that
that energy doesn't get used. So therefore it settles in our organs in the center of our body, and it can cause disruption. And it's often mentioned these days that levels of cortisol are high and it's causing this, that and the other. And, you know, eventually it can cause serious disease. So, as I said, it's been proven that tapping and releasing old traumas and negative thoughts and everyday stresses, that it calms the amygdala, so therefore it calms our system, which I think is great, and I've seen it happen. So that is the proof that it works. It actually works just by doing it, just by tapping on the points. And you can do it sitting on the bus, you can do it while you're watching TV. You know, we have so much access to the world and different things that are going on that some of us can feel quite traumatized by it. And, you know, we can sit watching the TV and just be tapping. Or, you know, if something's happened and you just think, oh my word, there's poor children, that disaster, you can just tap if it really affects you like that. Or you might just put the phone down after quite an aggressive conversation with somebody, or you might hear the news that somebody's passed. You know, you can tap. So it's available. It's available. And once we get doing it, you'll realise how available it is. So these energy lines around our body that flow in harmony when everything is okay, there's no disruption. And you can liken it to the wiring in a house. You flick a switch and the light comes on. Or you can, or you know, the signal that comes in with the TV, probably not so much these days, and you see that zzz on the TV, that means the energy is not flowing. And just like our bodies, if there's an upset of some kind, the energy isn't flowing. That's what tapping does. It kind of calms that energy and allows it to flow naturally and keep us well and keep us happy. These energy lines are the same that is used in acupuncture and acupressure. You don't need needles, you don't need anything apart from the tips of your fingers. So what you've learned about EFT is that how simple it is, how you can use it in your life, and you understand the science behind it, how it relates to calming our energy. You know that Gary Craig has made it what it is today. And in the next episode, we will be learning the points.